start some playing here. Here we go. Okay, my friends out there, thank you for tuning in. Yours truly, Rock and Dave, the real deal. North Fort Myers, Southwest Florida, and as the title says right there, it's it's a real big shock. We lost our dear friend John Dawson. I actually found out about it right as we ended our live stream on Monday night's gig. I had literally just shut the live stream off and started to proceed with continuing packing up the gear, and that's when Deb told me, she says, "You're gonna be shocked. You're not gonna believe what happened." And I thought it was something about the gig or one of the gigs that is gonna be postponed for after this Saturday. I thought, well, maybe, you know, miracle happened and they're changing their minds, but no, it had nothing to do with the gigs. It's when Deb told me that John Dawson had passed away, and I was just shocked. I could not believe it. If I were known ahead of time, I would have did a dedication to him on our live stream at the gigs. But I just simply didn't know. And usually when I ride home, I have the news radio on, just a little bit of talk. But Monday night I was just in shock, just driving home. So it was just a very somber ride home, and John's gonna be missed. John was a great guy. I believe we met him in person when we were still living in Illinois at one of our gigs at a place called Nightcaps, which is in Chicago, right on Irving Park Road. It was a heavy metal club. I was doing a metal show there. And I'm pretty sure this was 2009, maybe 2010. And I met him. I'm pretty sure he was with the group of people, with Mark and Kathy, his wife, Mark and Kathy, Mark's wife, Kathy. And I'm pretty sure Jen and Jason. And ever since then, we all got along. we were continuing to do our metal shows, and mixing it, with what I do now at the Naperville Riverwalk, which is in Naperville, Illinois, which is the far west suburb of Chicago, and quite a few other gigs we would be playing, and they'd come out and support us, and John would be there. So when we started doing our live streams, and Deb was saying, "Yeah, John Dawson's on," and the name sounded familiar, and when she said, "Oh, that's so-and-so, Kathy and John and Mark and Kathy's friend," which unfortunately Kathy passed away a few years ago too. So it's just, that's a sad thing all the way around. But as you know, John Dawson would get on virtually every single live stream we've done. I want to see. I'm sorry, I got to do this with the magnifying glass, but yeah, thank you so much, Gidget. I really appreciate that. LILK Bob, I appreciate it, man. How you doing, my friend? Everyone out there. I cannot pronounce the name, but I really appreciate it. Hello from Russia. Oh my God. Well, hello back, my friend, and welcome. And we thank you guys for your support. It's you guys are really awesome people, and we really love all of you, and can't say enough how much we appreciate you guys. It really means a lot. And hope all is well in your part of the world as well. And let's see. Guitar Man.
Pretty sure we met John
At the Riverwalk? Okay. Okay. But I do know we met Mark and Kathy and Jen and Jason. Deb just came in and corrected me. But I mean, it was all within that time frame. And, it doesn't have to be exact. It was all within that time frame. But it was at the Riverwalk. Yeah, so be it. It was at the Riverwalk. He was a great guy. Oh, let's see. Well, I was just doing a little something as the intro here. Yeah, make sure it stays in tune. Anyways, so getting back to our good friend John Dawson, obviously we met him at the Riverwalk, but I do remember. But every single live stream he was on, and he helped out a lot, and he was a great personality, and excuse me. I'm pretty sure I have to review it, but the last live stream I think he was on was March 11th. I think I did something on a Wednesday pertaining to helping people playing with limited abilities, and I'm going to continue to do those as well. And I'm pretty sure John was on, and he always was a good guy. We didn't know, but I guess Thursday on the 12th is when he passed away. And when we did our live stream that following Monday, which would be, the 15th? Yeah, the 15th. Well, no, 16th, because Tuesday was St. Patty's Day. He wasn't on the live stream. And then on that following Friday, he wasn't on the live stream, which is okay, because sometimes people need to take a break. That doesn't bother me, And that's really what I thought it was, just taking some time off. But then when Deb told me, Some Beatles. You know what? I'll do a little something real quick here because I don't have this plugged in, and um, so when John was not on, again, I was just associated with him taking some time off, but I was not expecting the real reason. It was because he passed away. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and I don't have this plugged in. Usually I expand on this version when I run it and I through the looping pedal, but let's see. I'll make sure it's a little bit tuned. So, sorry about that, guys. I'm gonna have to change strings on this as well. Anyways, he was always there. When Deb would have to leave, the area with the gig, and come back home and take care of things to come back, because we do our gigs on Monday nights over at Jungle Bird, and we do it like right after our driving gig. So I come back, we set up, make sure I'm changed and clean up and everything, and then we set up, and then we start playing, and then Deb will come back here. When she does that, John would take over, answering people's questions. That's what Deb does. See, again, I apologize when it looks like I'm ignoring people. I'm not. When I'm doing these gigs, I'm playing. I got the audience there. I got the club owner there, the manager there, and sometimes people. You got the people at the bar, but close to where I'm at is where all the tables are at, and that's really the crowd I'm playing to as well. I'm playing to the people at the bar, but I cannot blast anything too loud because this is not gonna make any sense. Let's see. I'm sorry about this. John Dawes was very nice to me on the chat, and I never met him personally. He entertained me. My silly jokes. Always said hello. I miss him too. Funny how people meet and get attached to each other. Yeah, Gidget, that is so true. That is so true. And even though we don't meet each other in person, but through YouTube and the internet and everything, it's like we know each other because we start to, we open up our world to people and invite them in, and then, you know what I mean? You get a chance to know people that way, and I think it's a great thing. I think it is a fantastic thing, I guess I would call it like the electronic pen pal. Anyone who's, of our age, middle age, upper middle age, we remember those days you had pen pals, So this is like an electronic pen pal. But the point is, yeah, John was always a nice guy. He really was always nice to everyone. And all you guys out there, I'll tell you what, I'd be saying the same thing about all of you out there too, because you start to realize, especially as we get older, how precious life really is. And we all have our quirkiness about us ourselves, and what makes us us. We're not always going to agree all the time on everything, but that's fine. But in generally speaking, people really do care about each other. The need to connect with other people that's human nature. That is human nature. And in my opinion, everyone's outlook in life matters, because you have that right to have your opinion, and that's how we learn from each other. And we come out, we connect, and hopefully it helps to inspire everybody, and learn from everybody. And certainly that's how John was. He was fantastic at all that. And I'm sorry with this magnifying glass. I'll tell you what. Oh, John's 57. Yeah, he was only 57 years old, guys. Not quite 58. I'm 26 backwards, 62, or 744 months old. And I'll tell you what, when I hear, excuse me, guys, people younger than me passing, my heart goes out to them. Definitely thoughts and prayers to him and his family. And you just, no matter how many times you say you care about somebody, you wish you had that much more time to say you care about them. You're 46, backwards. Ah, whoa, okay. Not too much older than me, is it? But it makes us, I tell you what, it makes us realize, it makes us really think. John was always always had a kind word and a hello to me. Yeah, he was. And I'll tell you, like a lot of you, what I was going to say real quick here, I wish YouTube, after the live, would leave the comments up during the live chats like they used to. I'm sure I could find somewhere, John's comments on my channel. The reason why I wish they would leave that up is that right there is still kind of like helps keep that person being alive. You know what I mean? Their memory alive. That they really were someone that existed. When it gets erased, it's like, I don't know. To me, it's like they never existed. I wish they wouldn't do that. I really wish. I wish they would leave all the chats up, so that we could review them and go back and say, yeah, I remember this and I remember that, and helps keep that person alive. I don't know what he passed from, but I just hope and pray that when he went peaceably. Like I said, a lot of us out there, we're 46 backwards and and 26 backwards and all that. We start to realize that how much time do we really have left? And I think because of that, we start to evaluate what's really important. Just simple hellos. The simple hi, how are you doing? The weather's here is nice. Like the gentleman from Russia just saying hi. You guys saying hi, good to saying hi. All of that is, in my opinion, more precious because it's real. And it's that moment in time. And it is the memory of that person. The personality, You can't replace it. You simply cannot replace it. And I don't like to, bring up anything negative or anything, so I'm not going to. But what I'm going to say is, the only thing I'm going to say on that is, when all the arguing about, what amp to use, if it's tube, if it's this, for the music, because this is a guitar channel, you find it doesn't really matter. Are you enjoying yourself? That's what matters. Or, if you're into sports, who's the better player? We're all going to have our things that for conversational sake, bring people together. I guess what I'm trying to say is everything at some point it brings people together, whether it's sports, whether it's music, whether it's movies, whether it's art. It all brings people together. And I'm listening to the chats, and I don't want to do that. Yeah. Always remember, I could tell he loved running the chat, and was yeah, he did, Gidget. He really was a great guy. I miss him. Yeah, I'm gonna buy my first guitar soon. I'm buying an acoustic full size. Hey, Mimi, well, good for you. You know, here's my advice on buying gear. Go to the store if you can, and especially for guitars, play it. Does it feel comfortable for you? No matter if you know how to play things or not. If you're starting out, just put your hand on the neck. Does it feel comfortable? You could try like this. If you want to learn the technique of taking your thumb and fretting the note. I personally can't do it because I was always practicing for like the classical way. But whatever that is your interest, mess around with it. See, does it feel comfortable? Try to push down on the string. And keep in mind, in your very beginning stages, it is going to be a little difficult. But also keep in mind, when you get the guitar off the rack, it's hard to push down, here's a thing called action. The best that I could show you. Let's see if you can see this. Action is the distance between the string and the fretboard. If I pull up, you see here, like that, let me do that. That's considered high action. That's extreme high action. That'll kill you. Very low action is where it's almost touching and buzzing. As you go in your journey in playing, you're going to learn what is going to be easy for you. In the beginning stages, you might have to have the low action and light gauge strings and make it easy so you can enjoy it. Let's see. Yeah. I have my brother's old electric guitar, but it misses some strings, and it doesn't work on cables. And I've been practicing on it. Well, that's a good start right there. Here's what's nice with the electric guitar. When it's not plugged in, it's quieter than the acoustic guitar. When I started playing, I started learning on a nylon string guitar. Although I wanted to play the electric bass because it was like an electric guitar. So if we had an electric guitar, I would have grabbed that. And I learned in grade school. But someone else was designated to play the bass. And then I was the last one to pick the guitar, because it was like maybe 5 or 6 of us in a classroom setting. And I was stuck with the nylon string. But I learned how to play on it. And then never realizing that years later I'd be, making a living off of one of the guitars being the nylon string and the classical style. So it's funny how that works. If you pick an acoustic guitar, and let's say you pick one with nylon strings, you can get some people that say, oh, those are plastic strings, and if they're beginners, those are for babies. No. Your very high-end, top-notch guitar virtuoso, classical virtuosos will play nylon string guitars. But the difference is some of those guitars are like $20,000. And I guarantee you, those higher-end classical guitars you will not find at your local music store. They're extremely high-end. It's a different style. It's a different world of playing. But, my point is, you buy what you like, and you learn the kind of music that you like. And when something sounds complicated, try to make it as easy as possible. My suggestion, and you could do this with a tuner. if you got a clip-on tuner or if you got a built-on tuner, is learn how to tune the guitar. You know, there's a lot of videos that'll show that, and then to know every single note on the fretboard from open position. That means you don't fret to the 12th fret position, because the 12th fret is the same as open position. The notes just repeat themselves. You can take one finger. This is for the sake of learning the fretboard, all the notes, and you'll find out, yeah, E, F, F sharp, or G flat. It's two names. G, G sharp, A flat, A sharp, A flat, B, C, C sharp, D flat, D, D sharp, E flat, E, and then it just starts all over again. Once you learn where the notes are laid out, life becomes a lot easier. Let's see what we got here. Here's my Sherlock Holmes magnifying glass. My God, thanks. My friend said that the acoustic guitar is a stupid choice, and I can only play country songs with it. Is that right? No, that's not right. No. I'm not going to say anything bad about your friend. I'm sure he or she is a nice person. But these are going to be comments that are made that is like kind of like the general public who don't know. Now, it could be that they're just messing with you too. But no. I learned, but this is 1974, I learned these kind of chords here. G, D, C, A minor, E. I learned those in grade schools because that's what they were teaching us. I'm not trying to get off the subject for John. This is all dedicated to John, okay? But I want to make this comment and this point right now, especially since you got that comment about with learning guitar. It's good to learn songs, and in this generation, this day and age, I've seen very famous people, very famous YouTube people, college professors, and I'm not trying to say anything bad about them. God bless them. They work hard to get to that status. But one in particular made a comment: if I'm not able to teach you songs, how are you going to learn to play guitar? And I thought, well, that's not how I learned. When we were taking guitar lessons and this is in grade school, yeah, we had the assembly hall to play at. So obviously we had to play some songs, some old folk songs and songs that I never heard of before. But I'll never forget what the teacher was showing us. It was two ladies. She would say, okay, we're going to help you do the A major chord, okay? Now, a lot of people will do it like this, which is fine. I learned how to use my middle finger, ring finger, and pinky and to do this. Now, if you see it on an angle, it's okay, because it's still on the second fret. It's okay. Everyone's hands are shaped different too, so keep that in mind. What she used to have us do is this: strum down, up, down, to get use of motion. And then she would say down, down, up, down, and she'd go like this, nice and smooth, And of course, when you're learning, you're all stiff and everything is all uncoordinated. But eventually, and she would do this as an exercise right there in the class. We'd do this. Guide all of us, and like I said, there's 5 or 6 of us in the class, and over the course of time, we were able to speed up. And she would, on a piece of paper, give us this. We'd have to do 3 chords, I think it was. I remember one was A major, one was G. Well, maybe it was A major, maybe it was E. It was so long ago. Then G. So she would also, write on a piece of paper, on the diagram, the shapes of the chords, the fingering we would use, and we would literally practice this. So here's the A, next chord is going to be the E, and then, she'd help us do this and make sure we could hold it down. And of course, when you're starting out, it might sound like, might sound like that. And she would say, as long as you got your fingers on that shape, because when you're learning, you got to build your strength up. That's one. But you also got to build your fingers up to do these shapes. So you got two things going on at the same time, right? So she said, if you do the pressure thing, that's good. Get used to pushing down. If that takes a little while, at least get the form. See, your fingers got to go like this to play E major. Now we're going to go to G major. And you go like this. And, or she said, you could do this, options. But, I mean, I was learning it the way she was showing us, so, because I didn't know any better. And I had to practice it, and then come back to the A. And so we had our task. But she said, try to strum those rhythms. If whatever you, because, we didn't have YouTube back then. Or we didn't have tape recorders. We had tape recorders, but we didn't have them as kids, until a little bit later. So we had to do everything by memory and then what we saw. And that's how I learned how to play. Let me see. Yeah. Well, thanks a lot. I really appreciate your help and advice. Oh, yeah, not a problem. You're very welcome, Mimi. Mimi Frank. I'm trying to pronounce the name. I really apologize. That's a long name. Could I just say Mimi if that's okay? I don't want to insult anybody. Yeah, oh, thank you, Gidget. Again, John loved getting on the live stream, and I'm sure that's why I wish to God that they'd leave the comments on the live stream, because when I would do my discussion on playing guitar and things of that nature, and even if a person has limited ability to play, it's always in the spirit of trying to help people learn how to enjoy life. And if they want to learn to play guitar, enjoy life, And John was that type of a person that he would always want people to enjoy life. He was a big sports fan. I'll tell you what, him and Deb would talk sports a lot more than me, because it's not that I don't really appreciate sports. When I was younger, growing up at Wrigley Field, I used to, play baseball. I was never on a baseball team or anything, but literally in the backyard and in the alleyway, we'd play baseball, fast pitch and all kind of stuff, It was a lot of fun. But when I got involved in music, my mind was just, onto that. And, but see, John, he knows all the sports players. No matter what game, it could be a hockey game, it could be, the Minnesota Vikings, and I always say, go Cubbies, as a joke. But it's because of the area I grew up in, So Deb and John, they did a lot of the sports talking. And John he was like I said, good guy. He enjoyed life. As a matter of fact, I think just in February, he went up to Pittsburgh, I think, and him and his old buddy Mark went to one of the outdoor concerts. I think I don't know if it got entirely rained out, but they went anyways. But yeah. And then John was going to come down here. I think he did come down here a few times, but we didn't have a chance to hook up and visit or anything. The last time Mark came down, and one of our friends Melissa, lives here, and we all went out to one of the places that I used to play at, and then I think that's when John was he couldn't make it to come down here. It would have been great to hang out with him. It would have been fantastic. But if John or any of my friends, and like my good friend Hal, I was teaching him classical guitar, and he was learning, man. I was very impressed. And he was recovering, and he was from he didn't have not a stroke, but he had, like, I think, bypass surgery. And with the AFib and everything, and now he was going to give me his guitar and see if I could sell it for him, which I would have done it. I would have been talked to Deb and paid for by him. But I'm glad that Hal decided to keep his guitar, because it was made for him. He had a guitar built for him, and because of the carpal tunnel syndrome he was getting, he couldn't play and was getting a lot frustrated. And I understand. It's like it's very difficult to try to continue with something as you see your health decline a little bit because of age. And because like one of the videos, he maybe decided to keep it and tried using a slide. But a lot of those ideas, I kind of got from my students as well as from John, because, excuse me, I'm drinking some of my decaf coffee, guys, and all of you guys out there, you'll say something that makes me think from a, looking at a different point of view, and because of that, it makes me want to see what I could do to help you guys. I gotta check on the comment here. Yeah, I left a message to him on his obituary. His team was, yes, Seattle, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah. Deb said that she saw the obituary, and, it's so hard to believe. It's so hard to believe because, like I said, I'm pretty sure he was on the live stream that Wednesday, the 11th. And if that's the case, and I guess I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that means that was the last time. And the next day he passed. He was, okay, thank you. I thought so. Thank you so kind. I apologize if my memory, slips a little bit here and there. I do apologize. This is why I wish YouTube would leave all these comments up, and or if there is a way, because I know they're going to alter things, they're going to update things, and I get it, I understand, but if they can make it easy for everyone, because not everybody could sit on home YouTube, whether you got a day job and you're playing, or you're playing full time, whatever it is, life is life. Life will always you'll have to do things in life, so. I guess that's why some people, they decide they leave YouTube or Instagram, whatever it is, they leave because they're like, I cannot afford the time to change my ways to learn something, and once I learn it, then you guys change it on me again. So you know what, adios, I'm out here. That's how some people look at it, and you can't blame them. Yeah, he was. Yeah, did John have a YouTube channel? You know what, he did. And I gotta see, I'm pretty sure, and I don't know if it's still up though. Because when he would get on, I would see the little icon. And yeah, obviously he did, because he was able to leave comments and he was able to like monitor everything. Yeah, I'm gonna have to change these strings. But I do remember, at least at the Riverwalk, him coming out. I do remember that. I could swear I met him at the nightcap, but then again, like I said, it was a long time. But I definitely remembered the Naperville Riverwalk, and we used to do shows there. Oh God, quite often. And I don't forget how many years we did shows there. It was quite a number of years, and they were always in the northern part of the suburbs from Naperville, Illinois. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Do you remember his YouTube channel name. I can look it up. I think it was John Dawson. I know Deb would know, but I'm pretty sure it was John Dawson. The only thing is, like, people who have common names. You go to look it up, and if there's not a whole lot of activity, and if they don't have a whole lot of subscribers, they're like pushed way down in the bottom. You know, and I understand, if you're not very active, then you're not very active with it. But excuse me, they should at least honor that. That's why, again, I wish they would leave the comments up. But yeah, I mean, he was virtually every live stream he was on. Virtually every live stream. And I cannot remember, when we met him, when we would talk with him and Mark and Kathy, and it was always about the music. And of course, Kathy and Mark, they always, and John, they always wanted to go to concerts. It was at that time in the early to mid 2000s, everything was still, everyone was still going out. And we used to do all the Borders bookstores. I mean, we did a lot of gigs, and they would come out. We did this one gig at one of the shopping malls in Schaumburg for Movado watches, and they came out. I think that was responding. Yeah, let's see. Seawall was for Super Bowl. Bears is our team. Yep. Where are you from? Seawall. Originally, I'm from Chicago. Let's see. I cannot pronounce your name. I really apologize about that, my friend. But originally, I'm from Chicago. I grew up in the north side by Senn High School. If anyone's familiar with the Chicagoland area, I was on a street called Ridge Street, literally right across the street from Senn High School. And then later on, we moved by a street called St. Louis Avenue, literally right across the street from Roosevelt High School. And then from there, we moved by Wrigley Field, my dad, my grandfolks. And it was literally a block and a half north. Close to Grace Street, Kenmore and Grace. But on Kenmore Avenue, I was between Grace Street and Byron Street. And everybody used to ask me in school, how come you don't live on Byron Street? Because your last name is Byron. I said, no, because I live here. And then we had Byron hot dogs, and they thought we owned, they thought we had a hot dog stand, Byron hot dogs. Have you ever visited India? No, I'm afraid not. We've been to Europe, we've been to Ireland, and then we've been to Belgium, and did a show in Belgium, and then a jam gig over in Ireland, Killarney, Ireland. And then, of course, we did a lot of traveling here in the States. And then now we live in Southwest Florida. We've been down here almost 9 years. But, yeah, there's a lot of beautiful places all over the world. Yeah, Deb said not yet. Ireland and Belgium, yep. But there's so many beautiful places around the world, man. It's incredible. Oh, why are you afraid to visit? Oh, no, we're not afraid to visit anywhere, no. I said I'm afraid not. We did not visit India, but we're not afraid. There's good people everywhere. And the musician's life, or an artist's life, or a photographer's life is a beautiful life, because you see life differently. You see people differently. You see them as the individual as they are. You see the soul. Being a musician, that's how we see things. And as an instrumental guitarist, since I play without words, I try to communicate through the instrument, through the notes. I can hear the strings starting to the tuning. Let's see. Um, let's see. We have a friend from, yeah, that's right. We were planning a trip together, but haven't as of yet. Yeah. At least you have to visit here for once. Yeah. The cultural and the religion, lots of temples. It's amazing. Man, I could just imagine. I could just imagine. I could just imagine. And then the vibe you get, when it's one thing to see things on, like, we used to watch the Travel Channel. Now you get on YouTube and, check everything. But when you watch things through a lens, it's one thing. But when you're actually there, it's not just one. You got your peripheral vision. You're surrounded by this awesomeness, and the air that you breathe, and just the whole atmosphere, and the vibe that you get. It is, you cannot replace it. You cannot replace it with television or pictures. They're good memories, and they're good inspirations. Don't get me wrong, but when you're actually there and you visiting and talking with people, and especially when you're doing shows, it's just incredible, man. It's incredible. And it's interesting how the other parts of the world, they appreciate good music. We appreciate good music here too, and I think it's getting more and more relevant because of social media. Whereas before social media, before YouTube and all of this stuff, we had to rely on either buying records, which that was a good thing because we were able to make money because we were able to sell merchandise, whether it's records or T-shirts or CDs, cassettes, whatever, 8 tracks. But other than that, we were at the mercy of what radio was giving us. Back in the early days of FM radio, it was kind of known as the underground, and that's when I think it was its most creative, because it didn't matter if the song was 10 minutes or 11 minutes long. It was music that took you on a journey. And at the same time, there was music for everybody, and everything was accepted. It wasn't just, well, it's not a song if you're not singing, or it's not a song if there's not a guitar solo in it, or this or that. There was none, the restrictions. So the catch-22 with social media is that, we have to rethink how we're making our money because everyone's getting stuff for free, but at the same time, it exposes people to this vast landscape of music that we wouldn't be able to get anywhere else. Going in Italy next year, so let's see. Can't find John's YouTube. Not sure what he looks like. I love going to. Oh, wow. Heartwarming welcome. Yes. Good to know, Deb says. Thank you, sweetie. Now, I do know John did have, or maybe he did not have any content on it. Some people have a YouTube channel, they don't want to put content up. And that's their choice. That's their choice. If it's done because of being afraid of being bullied, I understand where they're coming from there, but the best way to handle the nonsense and the bullying and all the other negative stuff is by simply ignoring it, because there's a lot of good people out there that say, hey, man, I don't care what how you play or what you look like or whatever. It's just having you as a friend. That's good enough right there, Let's see if I could do this. I'm gonna. Let's see. Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, With the magnifying glass, yeah, exactly. That's what it looks like, right? You know, woo! Now, since John saw a lot of different styles of me playing, not just on YouTube but live, because like I said, I know at the Naperville Riverwalk, I do the rock and metal, and then some of the jazzy stuff, and some of the classical and the flamenco stuff. So he would see all points in between, and I do remember him commenting on how you get your fingers to do all this. You know, my natural way of playing. I told him, my natural way of playing is with my fingers. That's why it's effortless. Although I don't put as much concentration and thought to really developing it because I put so much in developing my picking technique. But there are times when it's reverse. I will put more into the finger picking, especially when I was in my heavy studies with classical guitar. When it was just game on, and I think that also accelerated. Now the problem I get sometimes is the sides of my nails, they chip. So I've been taking some extra vitamin D to help all that, so I don't get these uneven tones when I'm doing my tremolo. That tremolo is this. That's called tremolo. So if I'm doing something like this, not too bad because now my thumbnail is starting to come into play there, but I used to do a little bit of variation of Leyenda, Stories Leyenda. Let's see if I get this string. Yep. Yeah, the strings are starting to go. I could hear the tuning wanting to go. Let's see, I'll be able to tell more of it. But just a little bit of the tip of this nail being with a little bit of a like a cut right in there. I got to be careful because it'll pop and then I'll get real bad uneven tones. But it's high maintenance is what it is, you know. So, but you know, all the playing that I've done and practicing, you know, it can never. You know, it was nice to get all the compliments and that. I did it because I wanted to be good, and not because I'm going to get something special on it. But it's kind of like it helps inspire people, because like how I was inspired, you know. Let's see. John commented one time on trembling, and I asked him what it meant, and he said just what you said. Yeah, tremolo. Yeah, the tremolo. Yep. You know, there's different types of tremolos. If you do it with the pick now, see, I got the pick stuck in there. You know. There we go. There we go. Now it's stuck in there. Let's see if I get that out. Tremolo picking. I gotta do this kind of moisten my hand, even though I got a grip on the pick. The tremolo picking with the pick is really fast down. tremolo with when you're doing the pick. That fast down up or up down whatever. Tremolo picking with finger picking is, and you can go both ways, but I'm mostly going one way, meaning up. Now when you're plucking or arpeggiating a chord, the thumb is going to be playing the notes of the chord while the fingers are playing the open string in this case. In this case, I'm playing an A minor, just a regular A minor chord that's up here. And I'll do it at a fast, well, normal tempo, so you get the idea of what it sounds like. You can see what this hand's doing right here. This hand's just holding the chord. The best way to get that is remember that the thumb is only going to be plucking this string, that string, that string, that string. Your very high E, the thumb's not going to hit unless you want it to, but you might get uneven. Or at least this is what I'm doing. My fingers, third, middle, and index, is hitting that open string. And it'll look like this. So, well, how you do this, you're not going to play the top string. You're going to play your A, D, G, B string with the thumb, and then the high E with the fingers. But you pluck the A string, go to your D string, next string G, B, back to G, D, A. It could be very tedious, I understand, but when you get that control, so note gets struck with the thumb first, then the fingers, then thumb, fingers, thumb, and so forth. That's what that is. But yeah, you're right, and John was right that you call it tremolo. Now on the amplifier is a tremolo, or the effect pedal is that, I don't have the guitar plugged in. I'll demonstrate at another time. Let's see. Yeah, we were hired to play for a wedding. The groom was from India. That's right. I DJ'd the dance part of the reception and played a lot of music from India. India has great. Oh yeah, it does. How about it, Deb? Can Dave play any of that music, Deb? I would have, I would have to, go over it again, because here's the reality. What happens? You practice for what show you're doing, and then sometimes if you don't play, don't play something for a while, you have to put it on the back burner because now you got this set of shows, so you're gonna prepare for that. So it's like it's almost like a mind shifting thing, or at least for me. It's always like a mind shifting thing. I have to, plan things out. But if let's say someone say, "Hey, could you do this?" and if I'm given enough time, then I do my research of it, and then I zoom in on it, and then depending on its complexity, because certain things are going to have a certain level of complexity, I'll just take the time and get as close to it as I possibly could get. But I always try to get that vibe, that feeling, so that even if there's certain things I'm not playing, you're getting not just the notes, but you're getting the vibe of the music as authentic as I possibly could get it. It's it's a little bit of a workout. It's also a mental workout, because you gotta, like I say, get it. And then I'll listen to it. I'll listen to that. There's another key is, if you're gonna learn something, listen to what style of music that it appeals to you. Listen to it, and try to mimic what you're hearing, and try to try to mimic also its rhythms, because that's going to set your pace. Once you get those rhythms locked into your body tempo, then it becomes easier and easier and easier. Again, especially if it's something that really appeals to you. When I was going over a lot of the like the Latin style music, I would listen to it so much. It fascinated me, you know. And I would listen to it hours. I'd practice listening to it and listening and mimic the rhythms. And I figure, okay, well, if they're doing chords like this, you know, let's say E minor, C major 7, B7, and then with maybe it's turning around as A minor 7, B7, and back to E minor. You know, I'll give you an example of this. This is just a small generic sample. Or if I would add more of like the flamenco flavor to it. So they call that. Thank you so kindly. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. You know, they call this, I call it the flickering of the fingers, veroscatos. Okay. I might be pronouncing it wrong. My Spanish is not too good. My talking is not too good. My pronunciation, but I try to get the vibe of it. That's the most important thing. They teach you this, and I really urge people, if you're going to learn flamenco and, you know, try to play as traditional as possible, right from the get-go, learn the way they teach it. It's going to be flickering from the pinky, the third finger, middle finger, index, and then up with the thumb. But I was hearing this, you know, I'm going to say late 70s and early 80s. And again, no YouTube or anything like that. So in my mind, I could do this. I do it backwards. Index, middle, ring finger, and then pinky. So there are times it could almost set a certain limitation on what I could do. But it was what I was mimicking, what I heard. And it became so easy, like second nature, just like walking. I was able to do that. And that is like the little, they call it on drums, you know, a little flam, or in a drum machine it's called a flam. It's a quick roll. And what it is, it's very percussive. So that's why you'll see the tapping on the body of the guitar. Let's see. Not if I do it slower. When I'm really in my practice zone, what I'll do is I'll take a certain piece of music and maybe a certain part of it and loop it over and over again to get that vibe and get the technical aspect of it. See, for me, I'm doing 3 and 4 hour shows, and I do like, you know, different styles of music. I do enjoy playing the electric guitar. So for me, it's not just this with my hands, which that's my natural way, but then it's with the pick. So then it's a little bit different. So my rhythms, that's more staccato. It's going to be a different type of a strum. So the rhythms are definitely different. definitely different. And it's also, I never realized this until I one day was watching a replay on one of my videos. And then it really hit me what's going on. Some people would say when I pick, sometimes my arm would go like this, and I just don't realize it. For my, speed picking. If I'm muting, I just gotta keep it up to the body. But sometimes the reason why it would go out like that, or my fingers would flick out, even though I practice my closed wrist, my picking exercise, but I'm playing, sometimes my fingers flan out. I always associated with a bad habit, but I realized the reason why my hand do that is because that's not the only style I play. When I'm playing finger picking, it's my hands naturally like this. My wrist is naturally like that. So naturally, it's going to go to that form, and it's going to kind of go back and forth. So that's when I started realizing, well, that's just the way that is, and how do I make that part of my style? And you just, you learn as you grow, and as you, in your journey of playing, and as you do, it becomes more and more second nature. Yes, I am reading this on. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. There's another wedding gig coming up in August on the Miami side. Love playing weddings. Yeah, our music business is 25 years going strong. Yeah. Yeah, yes, I'm reading this on your website. Oh, okay. So, yeah, good. Dad, my wife, she's coordinated everything. I can only do so much. Trust me. And getting back to our dedication to John, that's what I liked about him so much. He was so down to earth. Excuse me. You didn't have to be superhuman or super this or super that to be his friend. And that, that keeps me grounded, because it makes me feel like, excuse me, guys. When you play at some of these places, and you run into other musicians, and everyone compares each other, to each other, and that's just natural, And some people could get more rude than others, and it's like you feel like you're constantly got to explain yourself, or how come you don't sing, or how come you don't do covers all the time, or how come this, or how come you don't sound like this, or play like this person, could you play like that person? It's like you're always being compared to other people, or can you do this, or can you do that? The answer is no, I can only do me, because that's who I am. And when I realized that, top stars would say the same thing. Their advice, if you were to run into your favorite musician, guitar player, you follow them at all the concerts, and you ask them advice, one of the advices you'd be shocked to hear is that try to sound like you, because you're not going to sound like I won't sound like you. Yeah, but you could do all this other stuff. Yeah, but that's because that's what I've been practicing. I'm not going to be able to sound like those people, so I might as well sound like me, because that's who I am. That's the best way to do it. I saw this one interview with Stevie Ray Vaughan. I guess it's one of the clubs in Texas. He's being interviewed. The interviewer, news reporter, comparing him to Jimi Hendrix, and some to the fact that you sound like him, and can you this or whatever it was. And Stevie Ray Vaughan looked at like I said, like, what kind of question is this? I'm me and Jimmy's Jimmy. And that's the reality. That is exactly how that is. So, if people are out there playing, and you got these tribute bands, and you're doing your best to nail everything off the record, good for you. That's great. But no matter how much you nail it and how close you're going to get to that person, you'll know how close you're not to that person when you got that person who you're trying to mimic is sitting right next to you. and you're playing the same thing, maybe even off the same gear, you're going to find that there's this difference. And what that is that your hands, your fingers are attached to your hands, and your approach to your touch on the instrument is to be different than that person. And even that person's touch is different than when they recorded the song, let's say 20 years ago. They're going to play it different because they're not that same. It's not that same time. It's a different time. It's kind of bizarre. You know, it's a weird thing. I know John. He got it. He understood. Let's see. Thank you so much, Sandra. Yeah, I'm listening and solving a. Oh, so yeah, so that was yeah. John always liked your second last song. Could you play a little? Oh, I think I know which one. Maybe it's the one called Without Words. And of course, I wish I would have the the rechat on the YouTube. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure this is tuned up a little bit because this is kind of okay. Tuning up old school is the best way. The ear doesn't lie. Wow, that was off. So I'm wondering if it was this. Sounds much different without the background track and the drums and the bass. A little bit difficult on an acoustic. Now I'll just do the rhythm section. Section I think is this. This is E minor 7 to F sharp minor 7. Then G major 7. G major 7 down here. F sharp minor 7 up here. Then B minor. You see, it sounds different on the acoustic, not on string. So if I were to take it acoustically, I would approach it differently because it's a different guitar and it has this a slightly different vibe. Let me see if I can see what the chat's saying is here. Yeah, that's it. Okay, thank you. It's called Without Words. Thank you. I can recall some of yeah. Oh, you can. That's great. I really appreciate that because he was. like I said, if I could find a way that I could save everybody's chats, that would be great, because it's that moment in time, and God forbid if anything happens, I could just reflect on that, and yeah, that's that person, and I miss that person so much, and but as I'm reading, it's like they're there with me right there. It is so important to value and let people know, no matter what, you appreciate them, you love them, you care about them, because there will come a time when that person won't be there. And it's like, if I only had one more chance to say how much I appreciate you. You're my friend, and I appreciate you. And certainly with John. Certainly with John. And let's see. Yeah, thank you so much, Gidget. I appreciate it. I really appreciate that. But, it's interesting how music could bring people together. Music brings people together. Sports brings people together, hanging out, having something in common. It's something we all need as humans. Because could you imagine when people say, "Oh, if I can only find time enough to myself," we all need that. We all, definitely need that. But if you have too much time by yourself, boy, it won't take long for you to miss having someone to talk to. Doesn't take long at all. Now, that song I just played, it's called Without Words. It's a very simply played. The melody is very, very simple. It's based off what's called a B minor scale. And in this case, we got B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G. And it's basically based off those notes. And then this section part, that's A, G, F sharp. Slide down to A, and back to B. A little bit of tremolo. I think when I'm doing it on the electric, I'm doing it, lightly. The second part, the little bridge section here, which is based off E minor 7, F sharp minor 7, E minor 7, F sharp minor. I think I do it 3 times. And then I come to the G major 7 in 10th fret position. The melody I'm playing. So I'm doing that tremolo. I try to bring my dynamics back. Let's see. I'm having a hard time with this. I don't know why. So, even though the notes are simple, it's just the way that I'm playing them. Excuse me, I'm trying to alter them back and forth with different dynamics, different touches, soft touches, hard touches, because it's mimicking what a person would be talking. If they're, like in this case, missing John, and wishing that this would have more time with him, You don't say it monotone, you say it with emotion. So, when I play melodies, I try to play it with emotion. And that's what the term phrasing comes from. Let's see. I gotta do my John always said for Deb to let him know when you get home. He wanted to make sure you were both. Yeah, he did. You know what? He always sent clapping hands, guitar pictures, and music notes with his chats. Yeah, he was a special guy. You know what? he enjoyed everything, and just by him sharing that, that's inspiration right there. You know, and hopefully, it touches everybody's heart. Yeah, like I said, he's gonna be missed. He's definitely gonna be missed, and I did not see that one coming. I was, like I said, just completely shocked. I still am. I'm just like, wow. And it wasn't like he just passed away yesterday. It was a couple of weeks ago he passed. I guess that's the hard thing, you know. But I know he's in a better place. He is without pain. And his soul lives on. The soul lives on. The body dies, not the soul, not the person, you know. But we associate it because we don't physically see that person there. That's why I liked, if you know, with the chats, it's that memory of things he said. It's like his personality's right there, you know. And that keeps not only the memory alive, but kind of keeps him alive as well. And all of you guys, you know, we're not immune to any of this. It's going to happen to all of us eventually, someday, some point. That's why, you know, my older videos, when younger, like to rock out, and I had a lot of fun. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I loved it. It was fantastic, and I still do, and I practice. But I do like the music I'm playing now, because I think it's more of a spiritual connection or a personal connection. And it's not so much to blow my own horn to see how fast I could play or anything. It's more to kind of say, you know what, I'm feeling like this. You might be feeling like this. You're not alone. We're in it together. You know. I remember seeing a video interview with Stanley Clarke, bass player that was, you know, jazz fusion bass player with Return to Forever, and of course his own band and everything. And he was making a comment about young Stanley Clarke playing in Return to Forever with all the technique. And boy, they had a lot of technique. And he said, he made this comment, well, I was a better technician now than then I am now. But I'm a better musician now than then. Meaning that at some point you learn how to equal things out so that it becomes more of a point to kind of touch a person's heart because you're just like that person. You know, share the same fears and sorrows and happiness and good times and all that. So we're all connected. We're all the same, and that no one needs to be alone when they're feeling feeling pain or sad. We're there with you because we're all the same in that respect. You know. Let's see. Oh yeah, in the chats. Yep. Well, my friends, I actually need to get ready to go to sleep here or kind of wind down. We get up at 4:15 in the morning, so for our driving gig, which we absolutely love. We love our kids; they're great. Again, I probably on all my videos now, I'm going to dedicate a song, or especially without words, to John, and actually to all of you guys, because you're all all part of it. And I never want you to think that if I don't say hi to the person personally, that I'm not thinking about you. And I get a little bit busy. It just happens. But you matter. You're important. So with that, I'm going to leave it at that, my friends. And again, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. We love you all, and may John rest in peace forevermore. Until next time, we will be trying to go live Saturday, 3 to 6. We hope we don't get rained out because we are going to be outside. And yeah, we hope you guys can tune in. If not, you guys are always welcome to watch the replay. But you guys are always in our hearts and minds. Always remember that. So until then, you have a great evening. We love you all. Rock on, and God bless, guys. Take care. Thank you for watching.